Hello everyone, SirMonkeySuit here, back again with My Hero Academia Season 4. We're on episode 16, and in the last episode, so we were carrying on the aftermath of, the overhaul arc and everything to do with that. Yeah, we're just kind of getting back to normal right now. It's great to obviously get caught back up with Bakugo and Todoroki and see what they're doing, because obviously they haven't had a lot of time to shine in this season. So, it's obviously nice to get back with them. And obviously the rest of the class as well, who are obviously all very worried, considering what went on with the likes of Deku, Kirishima, Ochako, and Sue. So yeah, it was really cool to just sort of like get back to reality and sort of just be able to breathe, because we haven't had that for quite a while. So yeah, it's nice. It's nice. But they're already setting up like what I believe will probably be, the very back end of this season, or going into even the next season, which is the one of the new villains, which is Gigantomachia. Now, obviously correct me if I'm pronouncing that like right. I feel like it sounds right to me, Gigantomachia. Which is obviously a villain that we had seen previously in the Kirishima flashback that we had quite a while ago. So yeah, that was really cool. That how that like all sort of comes together, and also the fact of like, if it once it does come to pass, if Kirishima and what the fuck, can't remember her name. You know who I'm talking about, Pinky. If they actually do remember that from back then, I feel like Pinky definitely will. I wouldn't put it past Kirishima if he doesn't quite, because he was struggling back then. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. We also Kami came, Kami is the real one, I suppose. We've actually met her now from last episode. Obviously previously we had Toga, who was using her quirk to, she got Kami's blood at some point. So if that gets brought up, I would like it to. All Might and Endeavor need to talk. Gran Torino, he caught Kurogiri, which, surprising, but I mean, great. Awesome work. Also Tsukuyoshi as well, because I don't think he gets enough credit. He was risking his life out there. He doesn't have any, he doesn't have any powers. So yeah, also Gran Torino's sort of soundtrack that he has to himself, like his own theme, is great. It's like a western. It's fantastic. So that's really cool. Also, I wrote down, because obviously I write down previous stuff after I've reacted, and just things that I come up with throughout the week that I feel like I might want to talk about. So Deku asking Mirio if he wanted one, or if there was a way that I could give you my quirk, would you take it, kind of thing. It's like Deku almost giving away that thing again. Come on, Deku. I get it, for his character, it's supposed to, considering what Mirio went through and everything like that, looking give him sort of exceptions time in, time out. But it's we went through all of this with Bakugo and everything like that, and All Might even told him this kind of thing can't get out. It may be sort of different now, obviously with the with what obviously had happened with All Might previously in season 3, but it's not the idea that All Might lost his power, more than the fact that now Deku has it. Even though All For One knows about it, it's still a big thing, so it's supposed to be secret. And also to do with Mirio as well, I think it's important to think that Mirio is still suffering, but the fact he's able to put on that sort of smile and whatnot is he's strong enough to know what matters. And I think that Mirio is just he's so good, he's so great. And also Aizawa as well, because I haven't talked about him a lot, but Aizawa, remember the first time he showed up in episode 5 or something like that. It may have been back end of episode 4, season 1, and he was so stern and so harsh, and this idea that he would expel students and stuff if they just didn't fit the bill, kind of thing. And now he's the perfect teacher, man. It's great. It's fantastic. Love it. Love all the character development. But But yeah, I think I've pretty much gone through everything. So yeah, we're just going to get into episode 16 and see what we get. So if you do want to go watch the reaction, you can do by clicking the link in the description below. That'll take you to the 10-minute edited version. But if you do want full length and completely unedited, then you can do by going over to my Patreon. Link is in the description for that, and you can watch the full thing unedited and uncut. But yeah, there's nothing else to really talk about, so we're just going to get in episode 16 and see what we get. So without further ado, let's go. Okay, episode 16. Right, well, definitely completely different to what I imagined, but this is perfect, though, I think, for, well, specifically, Bakugo and Todoroki. I mean, I suppose it kind of does go, it does kind of work for Inasa as well, because, I'll kind of get into that, but I think the idea was, specifically when the teacher first sort of piped up, like, when Present Mike was like, basically handing off the mic to her to talk about it, it all sort of rang true. All of their sort of stories kind of started when they were kids, and how, like, the teacher goes on to, like, how, like, impressionable sort of kids are, so it's like at this point in, like, their lives that it sort of matters what you kind of teach them and whatnot, and it does, like, it rings true for all of their characters. I specifically brought out Bakugo because of course I would, because I fucking love Bakugo, we all know this, but the idea was, like, Bakugo at the very beginning was, as soon as his quirk developed, he was basically outed as, like, the genius, like, student, essentially. Like, he was the one that was gonna be better than everybody else, and he was told constantly how good he was. And one of the things that actually does go missing as well, like, sort of like on an offshoot, is that the idea, like, Bakugo was like that beforehand as well. Like, he was a smart kid, like, before he even got his quirk as well. So it was, like, always sort of a prodigy in a way. Todoroki, it's the same thing. He was, dragged through childhood by Endeavor to be essentially, Endeavor's substitute, and Endeavor, like, forced that upon Todoroki, so impressioned as a kid. That sort of forged his path going forward as well. And then Inasa was the same, to a lesser extent, obviously, because he's not, like, one of our main characters, but, the whole thing with Endeavor. Now, with Endeavor being there, obviously, it kind of, even though this, like, episode, was like it's so kind of out there, and I think a lot of people will, because it's like you're coming off an arc that just never stopped. It was just continuously going, everything, like, fight after fight after fight, the whole arc, and then we're coming back and just taking a step back and taking a breather and stuff. But I know how impatient people are, and people will probably just say, like, oh, what's this garbage? But for, like, story wise, all of these characters, what they're basically having to do now as part of their, like, provisional license exam sort of makeup or whatever, like, this part of it actually rings true to all of their characters. Now, Kami, she was just kind of thrown in there as a, because apparently, well, fucking Gang Orca apparently thinks that just due to her, the way that she is, her personality and whatnot, that she probably would have, not been that great at sort of, like, the rescuing as well. So she probably would have failed the whole, the initial stage, and ended up having to come back for this as well. I guess that's what he's basing that on, like, her personality, and that how that sort of affects that side of her game, like rescuing and stuff like that. And I suppose so. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing I think about this episode, was that sort of how it rings true to all of their characters when they were kids. How it basically, the events when they were kids, it turned out that, that made them who they are today. And I think also, it also plays a part in why each of them does the things that they do, like tries to get the kids on their side doing the same thing, that, like it all led up in their characters and the way they act. But I thought it was interesting as well, like, with Inasa, that he was there for a moment. Like, he almost had the kids on side because of that initial sort of front that I think is that is such a big thing in this show with All Might and everything like that, that you smile and you're basically you're positive and all the time, and kid like being attracted to that kind of that positivity is something that All Might was there for. Now of course All Might did it in a like a million times that, but that initial thing, I like the idea that he was actually he had it for a bit of time, because that's kind of like what you have to that's like, if you want to be like All Might, that's the kind of you have to come across that way. So I like that was brought up for a little bit. And this is a great thing as well, is Bakugo taking off the gauntlets because they're dangerous. I fucking love that. That's great. Like, that's tiny bit of character development. The best way that you can get across Bakugo to being a hero that's not going to take away from his personality at all, because it's not like we're not going to be all right with Bakugo suddenly acting all nicey and being comfortable with it. I mean, his whole life he has been building this sort of persona of himself as the greatest, and no one is better than me. I have to be the best. That it's not as easy as that. Like, down the line, even like into his like adulthood, that'll be like something that'll always like be a part of him. It may not be as full on as it is now, way down the line, but like there's no way that Bakugo's going to be that way inclined right now. So I love the fact that they're doing it so. It's so right the way that is portrayed by him taking off the gauntlets, basically saying that they're dangerous. Because I was going to say, like, how did they get the gauntlets off you, Bakugo? That's the reason why. So I love that. It's great. Todoroki, like, struggling with that sort of that, like, getting the message sort of like across as well, because Todoroki, for again, like, coming back to it, that like the way that he was sort of brought up, he was brought up as a kid and onwards just hating his father, and almost everything was in spite of his father, and that was it. Like, there was no room around anybody like to socialize with anything. That's like his one goal, which obviously ties into the Endeavor and All Might stuff about their like priority and stuff. It's like the kids' priority at that time was like they all had their own thing. Bakugo wanted to be the best. No one, like, he had to be better than everybody. Todoroki had that complete disdain for his dad. So, I think that's the best thing to take out of this episode. That even like they're changing it up in a way that for the characters that do need it, this is the perfect like thing for them. And it's going to be great to see like how they determine like how they take them on. It said there, like, obviously at the end, that they don't believe in heroes like nowadays. So I guess, like, obviously in the aftermath of All Might like not being there anymore, it's a symbol of peace. That they get this sort of thing from their parents, that they think that the age of heroes is almost like diminishing now, and now it's something that translates into the kids, and the reason why they were brought in is because they don't believe in heroes, not to mention like these ones that failed the provisional license exam. So it's almost like perfectly tied. Like how you like this, how they got like this exam together, this part of the exam, because it works like all together, and everything just ties up into everything. So yeah, I love everything that's going on at the moment with the characters that are there, because they definitely do need this, and also the All Might and Endeavor stuff, which obviously is that's what I was waiting for. It's been long awaited, the Endeavor, like Endeavor actually getting some character development, and coming around to the idea of everything. So he was never angry or pissed off at, well, I suppose comedy wise he was a bit when All Might was like, "You're talking to him today, aren't you?" But Endeavor was listening. I mean, he was the one that called All Might out to like talk, so I guess like it makes sense. Like Endeavor's been thinking about it, um, and that like it just makes sense to him now. So I like the fact that Endeavor's definitely coming around, because I've been wanting that for a while, so that's really cool. He recognizes the symbol of peace thing, which is great. But I mean, they were talking about priorities and stuff, that All Might was, he was saying that like that was the one thing that he strived for, and he never turned off. He just went and went and went until he got there. Which, it's the same with Endeavor. Endeavor saw one goal to be number one, and I mean even Endeavor says it like, if I was ever in the position that you were, if I was at number one, then I could, like, I'll have reached that goal. I can now focus on, what he would like describe as a sort of like symbol of peace. But I mean, that's just the difference, though, isn't it? And that, I mean, that's the thing about the show, is the fact of like what makes a hero kind of thing. You have the ones that do it for the like saving others, or to be a symbol of peace, or to to make the world a better place. You have those that want to be number one. It doesn't necessarily, but that's the thing, is like it doesn't necessarily mean it's a be all end all goal. Like once you're there, that's it. That's not the case. Like, I think when like it's interesting because all their personalities do like sort of come into it, and it's like, well, it would be interesting to see an alternate universe in which Endeavor actually did get to the number one spot by, and that was his goal. Like, what does he become then? But I just, it's that thing of All Might's goal. He went full throttle until he reached it, and he managed it, and he kept it throughout. The symbol of peace thing was it's not really a goal. I mean, it is a goal to get to that point, but then it's something that can be sustained in a way. Whereas getting to the to be number one, I don't necessarily think. I mean, I suppose it is like trying to keep your place, but I don't know if Endeavor really truly saw it as that, like as a like win the title, keep the title, and defend it. I think but I don't know. But it's sort of interesting that they do bring up that because Endeavor was so focused on getting number one that he never like slowed down to think about, well, really what makes a hero then. And I love the fact that All Might literally now gives him advice, because Endeavor doesn't need to think about that anymore. He is number one now. It may have not been the way that he wanted to get it, but he is number one now. And it's like, it's the same thing that would have gone through Endeavor's mind if he'd got number one the way that he wanted it. Is that, well, what do I do now? How do I be the hero that I want to be now? And I love the fact that All Might is the one to almost give that out. I was thinking that, like, as soon as he said it, like, it's almost like, God, can you imagine if like All Might would like said that to him like 2 seasons ago? Could you fucking imagine? Oh God, because it's a line that All Might telling Endeavor could easily come off as like, like it could come off wrong, and it can seriously piss off Endeavor, especially 1-2 seasons ago. But yeah, I mean, the fact is that because Endeavor is in that position now, in that state of mind, that he can deal with everything that's gone on, and he can understand it. That I like that All Might was the one to tell him that. So yeah, that was really cool. And yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. The only other thing really was what was his name? Meru, the guy who's always tired. He was talking about how Kami, because she's like the number 11 students coming in. Now, we all know the reason why she is coming in to take her provisional license exam, because she never took it in the first place. But I like the fact that they actually made up a story as the reason why she had to retake it, and put it under the whole like foggy memories thing. Because it kind of works in our favour. Like I didn't write down his name, the Shiketsu student, a purple haired dude who just came to observe. Then he was talking about how she's got like, this flighty sort of way about her that just like she's just not like kind of all there. She's a bit of an airhead. Or she like sort of focuses on the wrong things, I suppose, as opposed to the right ones. So basically coming up with that whole thing, that whole story. I like the fact that they're keeping that under wraps and not obviously giving away the whole Toga situation. Just keeping it in the world, which I really like. It's all good. But yeah, and then one of the kids is literally a young Monoma. Like he just really is, isn't he? Fuck's sake. Probably not as like Monoma from season 2. When he was insanely pompous and up his own arse when he was taking all the bandanas and stuff. Basically that Monoma, but a young version. Not the one that's like always, trying to get one up on one ear, but but yeah, that's all I've got for this episode. So thank you everyone for watching. In the description below I have links to certain things. One of them is the Discord, so you can get you over there if you wish. And I also have a Patreon page as well. So if you do want to support me on Patreon, that would be very much appreciated. There is a bunch of different tiers and rewards depending on how much you want to support me with. So there's the early access tier, $5 a month, gives you access to shows a week early. There's the $10 a month for full length, that gives you access to obviously full length reactions, completely uncut, unedited. And there are other tiers where you can pay to have a certain show react to as well. So if you want me to react to a show, go have a look at those tiers and see what they offer. But that's all I've got. So thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.